An elderly woman, Federica, is anxious to get a refund from an online shop with her smartphone. Next to her sits a young man, Alessio, who is enthusiastically explaining how to use the app. In return for his help, Federica promises to teach Alessio how to prepare risotto and where to buy ingredients for the dish. Not only do both of them acquire a new skill, but they also develop a warm friendship. Much to people's surprise, they are neither relatives nor friends. How are they connected? They are actually living in the same apartment, in a co-living community to be exact. Just a few years ago, this would have sounded odd, but you may find the idea becoming more and more common due to the rise in intergenerational living. As the issues of increasingly high house prices and the elderly living alone arise, more people are starting to acknowledge that traditional ideas of social relationships need to change. Because of great advances in medical science and young people's moving out of their parents' houses, there have been an increasing number of elderly people living alone. Unfortunately, they may gradually become disconnected from society. At the same time, young people usually face difficulties when leaving their parents' houses due to astonishingly high house prices. There are a substantial number of young people who don't have sufficient funds for a deposit to buy a house in contemporary society. Worse still, rents are so high in many urban areas that both the elderly and young people are unable to afford to live alone in anything other than inferior housing. An efficient solution to these two pressing issues has thus been proposed: multi-generational housing, which can not only cut costs for both age groups, but also help them become one another's good companions. The earlier example of intergenerational living isn't an exceptional case and is becoming more embraced worldwide. Initially, people assumed it to be challenging because the generation gap might put the brakes on this special type of relationship. However, it has proven to be worthwhile and meaningful in modern society. For senior citizens, it reduces their risk of suffering from loneliness, whereas for people in their 20s or 30s, it provides ample opportunity to learn a variety of life skills from the elderly. The following are two examples of intergenerational living. One is in Alicante, Spain. An affordable housing project there creates space for the elderly and the youth to live together. Each young participant spends a few hours a week checking on elderly tenants, and in return, he or she pays a lower rent. The project has not only benefited all the residents, but also helped to establish close bonds between generations. The other is in Singapore, where the authorities have built a modern village, hoping residents of different ages can live side by side. The accommodation includes places for sports, food stalls, a clinic, and a kindergarten for the residents to share. The authorities expect that the housing will break the stereotypes that young and old people hold about one another as they are living closely together. In times when people live longer and many young people are often forced to exceed their budget for rents year on year, this alternate idea seems to be a practical measure to tackle the difficult social problem. Hopefully, this form of housing will become widespread as everybody involved would benefit in the future.